Hello guys, so in this video we are going to set this particular problem bitset, design bitset. Okay, so what is a bitset? A bitset is a data set that compactly store bits. So I'll assume that you have gone through the question and you have understood each of the functions. They are pretty straightforward. Okay? So what we are going to do here is we are first going to see the brute force approach, and then we are going to move towards the optimized approach. So as most of you have already gone through the question, tried it once, so basically you could know that this flip operation that you have is that is the one that is causing a bottleneck in the code. Okay, so first let's see what is the brute force approach, and then we'll move ahead with the optimal one and how to go with that. So basically for this particular question, what we have to do is we will have to create a bit set. So what I'll do, I'll create an array of characters where each of these elements of this array will corresponds to a particular bit, either 0 or 1. So basically 1 or 0 character. So initially all of them are 0, and we have set it as like this. So 5 is there, so we have initialized 5, and I'm going to keep a integer with 1, which will keep the count of the number of ones that is present in the array. So what will happen, initially fix 3. So what we have to do, we have to fix this value as 3, and then when fixing it, we'll increase the count of 1 because we have put it as 1. So here we have put it as 1, which is initially 0. Now we have to fix 1. So let's do that. We'll fix 1 straightforward, and then we'll increase this value to 2. Then we are saying like flip every bit. So what we are going to do is we have to flip every bit. So this will be converted to 1, this will be 0. So basically our array will become something like that. Let me write it. It will become 1 0 1 0 1. Okay, now when we flip this thing, it will become 1 0 1 0 1. Simply go iterate over the for loop, and for each of these characters just flip it. So what we have to do with 1, we just have to do this 1 is equals to what is the array of length, that is 5, minus whatever the value of 1 is, 5. Okay, because all the zeros are converted to 1 and all the ones are converted to 3. So basically 1 will be equals to 3, and that is our number of ones present. When we this all is called, all says that whether all the characters in the array is 1 or not, or all the bits are set or not. So basically for what we have to do, we have to just check whether this 1 is equals to length of the array or not. If it is equal, that means that all the values are 1 or not. So basically we'll return false because 3 is not equals to 5, so false is returned. Then we will unfix 0. So at this particular, we will have to unfix 0, and we have to reduce this value from 3 to 2. Okay, now we'll have to flip it again. So while flipping it, this value will become 1 1 0 1 0, and this again 2 we'll have to do the array of length minus 2 because all the ones converted to 0 0 to 1. So basically 5 minus 2, that is 3. So that is equals to, this is our new updated array. Okay, so keep your eyes here. Now this flip operation is done. Now we have to run whether 1. So this 1 will check whether there is at least 1 present or not, or 1 bit is set or not. So basically we'll check whether this value at this 1 is greater than or equal to 1. If it is yes, then true. If not, then false. Okay, so basically 3 is there, 3 is greater than or equal to 1, so true. Unfix is 0, that is we have to convert it as 0, put this as 2 here, and then we have to count. Count means how many ones are there, so we'll simply return these 2. So value is 2, and then we have to convert 2 strings. So iterate over each of these each of these characters, and put it in a string and return it. So basically you will return is 0 1 0 1 0. So this is our answer. So this is basically the brute force approach, where we will keep store of the array and this one variable. And for flip 1, we have to iterate over each of this and do a flip of those characters. For string, we have to iterate and print out the string. So if you see the constraints here, it is saying that the toString variable will be called only 5 times, at most 5 times. Okay, and it will be called at least 1 and at most 5 times. But the flip one, this flip one can be called as many times as possible. Okay, so basically the if the suppose for the string 1 we are iterating over all the elements, and it will be called at max times, so it will be 5 into n times. Okay, so basically order of n times only this string operation will take, and that too only 5 times. Okay, but if you see this flip operation, this flip operation can be called any number of times. So suppose this called ni2 number of times, and for each time we're iterating over each of the element and then doing a flip of that particular position, so it might take order of n times. Okay, order of n times. So this will become order of n square type of algorithm. So this is not going to pass. So let's see how we are going to optimize it. So for that, Let me show you the code, and then we can go through it one by one, step by step. Okay. Okay, let's see. Here, whatever initially was, let us keep those as it is. So here, if you see, let us keep 1. Okay, this is our 1, which will keep the number of ones that are already present. Then we have two arrays. Okay, so I'm making them here as same because that will be easy to understand that way. Here, so initially this is our array. So this upper one will store all the characters. So this is not 2D array. Okay, there are two arrays, character and the flip array. So I'm making it on the top because both of them are same size. Okay. So array is initially 0, as we have already seen. This flip array will keep account whether that particular position or that particular element in the array is flipped how many times. Okay, so initially it was 0 because all the flip 0. So it is flip array, and this is array. Okay, and we'll keep a flip variable, and this flip variable will keep account of how many times the flip method is called. Okay, so let's see, because we have a problem in the flip operation, because that is the only one which is having a bottleneck. Others we can do it in order of one time, or at most the two string will be called at most 5 times, so we are okay with that. Okay, now let's see how we can proceed with this. So initially the bit set is 5. So we have initialized all them is 5. So this first operation is done. Then we will have to fix 3. So while fixing 3, why I'm keeping it as this flip and FA is, let me show you first here. So suppose a flip is like this. Okay, let me not show it here. Let me show you the diagram here. Okay, suppose this is our flip. Okay, so this flip will be used as a single source of truth, which will be used by the flip array. So what will happen is, suppose the array is here, and it keeps a count of how many times that particular element is flipped. Okay, so whenever we are going to take a flip, we are going to call the flip method, we are just going to increase this flip value by 1. Okay, suppose the flip method has been called 4 times. Okay, so we are going to increase this flip method by 4 times. So initially its value is 4, and now suppose this FA is there. So now after four flip operations, we have set the value of something like that. The flip array is 0 initially. Okay, let it be. When we go through the code and the example, everything will be clear, but first understand the logic. Okay, so when suppose we want to fix this particular position, so before fixing this, what we will have to do, we will have to just see whether that particular element needs to be flipped or not, because what we are doing is, when the flip method is called, we are not actually flipping the array. Okay, we are not doing that, we are just keeping the count of the flip. So basically, when we are going to use a particular, suppose this is our array, particular bit, we have to see whether that is the actual bit we want to use, or its value should be changed. So for checking that, we will have to see, okay, how many times it has been flipped already, and how many times the flip method has been called actually. So it means that if there is difference between these two, it means that this value is not the actual value that we wanted to use, but we need to update it. Okay, or we need to check whether it needs to be changed or not. So if you see, the flip array has been flipped 2 times, but the flip method has been called suppose 4 times. So it means that how many times extra it needs to be flipped? 4 minus 0, that is 4. Now 4 times this particular bit has to be flipped. Now if we flip a particular bit 2 times, then value goes back to the initial value. Okay, if it was 0, then flip once, flip twice, and then initial value will go back to 0. If 4, then again go back to initial. It means that if the flip is even number of times, then the value we need not to change. If the flip is the difference in the flip is odd, then we will have to change the particular value. Okay, so that we have to do. So before taking action on any particular element, we just have to check whether we need to change it or not, and for that we need to check whether we need to flip it or not. And for checking whether I need to flip it, take the difference and check whether that particular value is even or not. Okay, then once we do that, then check the then use that particular bit. Okay, so let's see the code now. So here, now we are going to fix this. So before fixing, since we are going to work on this okay, third one, right? So this third one, before we're going to work on this third one, we are going to first check whether it needs to be whether it is okay or not. Okay, whether it is good or not. So for that, initially flip was also 0, initially 1 was also 0. So we need 0 and 0 is there, so difference is 0, and and it is even. So basically this is the one that it should be, and it is okay. So we will simply like fix this value. So that is what we are doing. We need to check whether it needs to be flipped or not. Okay, if it is need to be flipped, we will flip this particular value, and then we will check whether that particular value is 0 or not, because if it is 0 and we are converting out, we have to increase this one value. That is why we are checking, and then we set that particular value. Okay, so if you set that particular value, this will be converted to 1. Okay, as we have seen. So let me change that value to 1 so that we are at track. So this value is 1, so this operation is fixed or run. Then we have to flip. So while flipping it, we are not changing anything here. Okay, this thing is remaining as it is. We are just changing the value of the flip. So this flip will be increased, the count of the flip will be increased by 1. So here the value will become 1. Now this is also completed. So while flipping, we are just keeping the count, this 1. If you see this 1 here, so what we are doing, 1 is equals to array of length minus 1, as we have discussed earlier. So it is auto 1 operation. So this 1 will become whatever initially 1 was 0. Okay, so this 1 was increased here, so it was 1, and then we will have to flip it, so it will become 5 minus 1, that is 4. So it will become here, the 1 value will become 4. Okay, here. So as you can see, after the flip, so each value will become 1. Okay, here we have done fix 2 times. Okay, so this one needs to be fixed again here. This one again, so 3 we have fixed after checking, and 1 also we have fixed after checking. Then we have flipped and we have increased the value to 1, and while increasing the value to 1, we will do a 1 minus 1. So this basically should be 3. Okay. Okay, I hope you have got it. So initially, when nothing was there, flip was 0. We have fixed 3. So we have checked initially it was 0, then 0. We have flipped it to 1. Then flip 1 is there. Then we have checked 0, then 0, then 1. Then when flip is there, we have increased the value to 1. And then this 1 we have done number of length minus the initial one, that is initial to 3. So flip we have increased. We have not changed anything in the array. Now when all is scanned, we have to just check whether this 1 is equals to the length of the string or not, or when length of this character. Okay, I'll if there is a mistake in the string or character or array, so I mean this particular whole character array. Okay, so we'll check 1 is equals to length or not. Here 3 is not equal to, so here it will return false. Okay, so now we have to unfix 0. So while unfixing 0, we will have to see whether this particular value is okay or not, or we need to change it. So now the flip at this particular position is 0, and here the flip is 1. Okay, now we need to, okay, we need to change it. So basically what we are going to do is, we are first going to set it as 1. Why 1? Because we need to flip it and the difference is odd, so we need to first set it as 1. Okay, so we have initially set it as 1, and now we are going to use this. So while setting as 1, we'll change this flip array value also equals to 1, because we have already processed it, and then it will become value will be equals to the same value as we have flipped. So 1 here. Now we are going to use this 1 value. So now we are going to unfix this. So when we are going to unfix this, we are going to remove this 1, and we are trying to update it to, this will be converted to 0. Okay, so that is what we are doing in the code. We are first checking whether it needs to be flipped. Yes, it was, because initially it was 0 and it was 1. So we have we need to flip it. We have flipped the value and changed it to 1. Now we are checking whether that value is 1 or not, and doing 1 minus, and then we are setting that value to 0. So that is what we have got. Now again we are doing a flip. So what we are going to do, we are going to convert it is 2. Okay, flip is converted to 2, and this array 1 will be converted to whatever the total length is minus the 1, because all the zeros will be converted to 1 and 1 to 0. So this will be again converted to the value of 3. Let me erase it and put it as 3 here. So this value will be converted to 3. So now 1 will say like how many ones are there. So it will basically okay, sorry, 1 means say that if at least 1 is there or not. So basically for that we'll check whether this value at this one variable is greater than equals to 1 or not. So here it is 3, so we'll return true. Now it will say unfixed 0. So when we are saying unfixed 0, it means that whatever value that here we have to unfix it, but before doing that we need to check. Okay, so if you'll see here, we need to check whether we need to flip it or not. So initially its value is 1, flip was 2, so there is a difference, so we need to flip now. And how to flip? Because the difference is odd. Okay, so what we have to do, we have to just flip it once before moving ahead. And let me do that first, and we'll have to convert it to 1 first, and then we will have to check whether the value is 1 or not. Yes, it is 1, so we'll have to remove here, put it as 2, and then we'll have to convert this to 2 because we have flipped, and then we have to unset it. That is what we are doing. We are checking whether I need to flip. If yes, we flip it. Okay, and then we check whether that particular value is 1 or not. If yes, then we are unsetting it. That is why doing -1, and then we are unsetting that particular value to 0, and then fixing it. So this unfix is also done. Then we are getting count. Count is just saying how many ones are there. So basically just return the value of this one, which is 2 here. And then we are returning a string. So return 0 1 0 1 0. That is our string that is returned. So basically this is what the code does. So let me quickly go through this code once, and I think you will understand it pretty good way. So give me a minute. Let me erase all these things from here. So I'll go through this fix first. Okay, so fix, what we are doing, we need to check whether we need to flip or not. Okay, and then if the value is there, we need to flip. We just first flip it, and then we check, because after flipping only we are going to get the actual value that on which it should be worked upon, right? So we are checking whether it is initially 0 or not. If initially means after flipping the value is 0 or not. Okay, if it is 0, then we are setting it. That is why we're doing 1 plus plus. If it is already 1 after flipping, we need not to do this 1 plus plus, and we are simply setting it. Okay, so this is the fix. Similarly, we have unfix in place of this a plus plus. We are doing minus minus, and this 0 is converted to 1. That's it. Nothing else. Everything is same as it is. In the flip operation only, we are going to see the trick or the whatever we have optimized. In the flip operation, initially this was what we used to do, but this need not to be done. And then we have to just increase the flip count, and number of ones now will become number of zeros. So how many zeros will one was there, that will become 1. So that is why we are doing array of length -1. So this is the what we have done here. We are simply counting the number of flip operations that was done, and simply, and before using it here, before using it, we are just checking whether we need to flip or not, and then we are using it. So this way we can optimize our code. Okay, now if you see this one, all, and all this thing, these are order of one operation, simply related to the variable itself. Okay, so one means if at least one is there, so return. If all is there, count is number of ones. Okay, the to string is simply going through each of the string. So let's see. So toString is going through all the string and getting the value. So before getting the value or using the particular value, we need to check whether this needs to be flipped. If it needs to be flipped, then flip it, then use it. So basically, it's like a particular value, a particular element is dirty or not. If it is dirty, then first fix it before using it. Okay, so that is what we are doing everywhere. Okay, and whether it is dirty or not, we are going to see whether it was how many times it was flipped and how many times it should have been flipped. Okay, so by checking these two, we are going to decide whether it is dirty or not. If it is dirty, then first fix it, then use it. Okay, so this is basically our thought process. Now if you see the need to flip, so need to flip is as it is at particular index. If we have an array, okay, its corresponding flip array is here. So what we are doing, if this particular index we need to check, so basically at that particular index, what is the flip array and what is the flip variable we have, we need to check the difference. So here is the difference, and we are checking the difference is %2 and whether it is equals to 1 or not. Okay, and then we are setting that flip value to same as the flip value, because we have processed that and we have flipped it that many times. So this is that's it, the code. Let me try to run it. Hopefully it runs. Let's see. So let me try to run the code first. So it passed the test case. Let me try to submit it. Okay, so it passed all the test cases, and this way we can solve this particular problem. Okay, so the code, this link to the code and the submission all will be provided in the description of the video. You can go ahead and check that, and if you have any doubt, just mention in the comments. I'll try to remove those doubts or clear those doubts like as much as I can. So hopefully you have liked the video. So like the video, share it, subscribe it, and comment on the video. Thank you.